Well, one of his least favorite drivers, at least for a couple years, was Kevin Coogan, especially when he was driving for Roger Penske. And he crashed into AJ at the start of the 1982 Indy 500. And the classic interview when he's storming off and Chris Economaki's going, "What happened, AJ?" "Well, it done run into me." And he says, "Who?" He goes, "Coogan." And a couple of months later, Kevin Coogan and I were sitting in Michigan on a bench in the garage area, and AJ and I had gotten to a little altercation. He slapped me around a little bit in '81 because he didn't like what I wrote, and Coogan was definitely afraid of him anyway. And he was riding his bike up towards us, and Kevin Coogan just froze. He goes, "He's coming after us." I said, "No, yeah, and there's nobody here to help us. He's going to kill us." That damn Coogan. And AJ couldn't have been any nicer. Told Kevin it was good to see him and drove off. He loved playing mind games. Damn Coogan. One of the reasons that he's doing so well and looks so good is, of course, his diet. Raw meat and ice cream. That's pretty good. But the thing that really keeps him going is his ranch, and every day he gets up on his bulldozer. Bulldozer. He calls it his bulldozer, which is a Texas thing, I think, but I'm not really sure. And that really does. And he just bought another ranch, and he's clearing and he's knocking off old water mains, and he's tearing trees down, and he loves doing that. But trust me, even though the bulldozer tipped over once in a lake and he damn near drowned after the killer bees ate him and the little water moccasins came looking for him, he loves his bulldozer. 1978, start of the Pocono 500, Fred Stecker, the president of Citicorp, who was the sponsor of the United States Auto Club's Championship Trail, walked up to Mr. Foyt on the grid and said, "AJ, I don't see the Citicorp decal on your car," because AJ had conveniently stuck it under the radiator, so you couldn't see it unless maybe you were laying down on the ground, because he didn't like the sit crop people, and he told him so. He says, "I ain't wearing none of them sit crop patches, so just leave me the hell alone unless you're going to give me some money." Our boy, Anthony Joseph Foyt, has survived death at least 80 times. He's got more lives than any cats you've ever seen. I mean, he's been burned, broken, you name it, he's had heart transplants, he's had stents, he's had everything that can happen to him, and he is so tough. He's fought them all off. But one of the great things is when you're talking to him about, "God, how did you survive that crash at Riverside or Elkhart Lake, or when you flipped here, or when you caught fire at Milwaukee?" And he said, "Well, some of them moments is death-threatening, and you just got to come. I was just lucky I survived." Not life-threatening, death-threatening, which is another Foytism, which means you got away with one. Now, if something happens to AJ's car, or he doesn't pass technical inspection, not very often, it could happen, probably not, could happen, he would say this. He would say, "Well, it was just one of them misfortunate things." Not unfortunate, misfortunate, because unfortunate just doesn't have the same connotation. Misfortunate, it's just one of them misfortunate things. And then, of course, "This is just ridiculous," that's just, when they bring out a new rule or they tell him the set of tires is $2,500. "Well, this is just ridiculous." I mean, that's shown with a little passion and emotion, but no cursing. "This is just ridiculous." Let's see. One day we were talking to AJ. What was great about Foyt was when we go to the East Coast to Pocono or something, he'd talk to the Philadelphia and New York writers, and there were actually papers out there that actually covered IndyCar racing. And then he would always give them a half an hour, 20 minutes, and he'd be eating out of their hands because he'd be so nice to them and stuff. And then I'd go talk to him later by myself and ask him what was going on. He says, "Well, I had them boys in the immediate news eating out of my hand." The immediate news. It's immediate. It's immediately after they left. He called them the immediate news. And I don't think the immediate news is on his high list. He doesn't really enjoy interviews. He does now more than he used to, but the immediate news used to be a pain in his ass. 1980, they cut the boost back, and after the race was over, he stormed back to his garage, and he says, "We all look like we was out there running around like a herd of turtles." A herd of turtles. I've seen a herd of cattle, not up close, but I've seen them on Westerns. A herd of turtles. I've seen a couple turtles walking across the street, but I've never seen a herd of turtles. So that's him. That's our boy. It was a few years ago when we had a TV show on ESPN called RPM Tonight. It was fabulous. And AJ and I were doing a show together over at the IMS Productions. And I asked him a question, and he said, "Well, this is a big sure," which was the first time I'd ever heard that expression used in that particular vein, but we just filed that away in the Foyt dictionary. And of course, I say it 15 times a day, and some of my friends now say it, so it's become part of our vernacular. And we owe AJ a lot because he gave us a lot of memories and a lot of thrills, but he also gave us a whole bunch of words that nobody else knows what the hell he's talking about, and that's why we love him. That's a big sure.